Hi, this is Meredith, and I am going to demonstrate taking an image transfer for a jelly plate print. This is a plate from a little book that was printed in 1911. That seems to be a really good vintage time for these to work. And paint on there. That's not good. So the first thing that I do is I put a little bit of Payne's Gray. I use golden fluid acrylic. That seems to be working for me. And I think that is about the right amount. I roll it out so that it's fairly thin, and what I'm seeing is it looks a little bit too thick. I don't want it to look thick because that doesn't take a good image. And I place this down. Now some images from other times don't like to have very much pressure on them, but these seem to be able to take enough pressure. You want to make sure it makes good contact with the plate. Then pull it up, and I don't know if you can see. Let me look and see. Yeah, there's a really good image left from that. And it is fairly wet in spots. So what I'm going to do is allow it to dry. I'm going to roll off my brayer so it'll be pretty clean. This is paper that I use to pick up the extra that's around the plate when I'm making the impression. And sometimes I'll take my apron when there's a really wet spot right in the middle to encourage some drying. Very gently take some of the extra paint off. So I want that to dry enough that I'm not going to spread the paint around when I put the contrasting color on. And what I've done is I've taken some titanium white and, let me see, I think Quinacridone magenta, Telluride, a little tiny bit of yellow, because I wanted a pink, but not too crazy wild pink. So it looks like we're almost there, almost dry enough. Meanwhile, I can pick out another plate. This book was full of all these plates, really lovely paintings, religious themed, but often what works best is high contrast. But this vintage printing is picking up a lot of detail, and so I'm just trying all of them. If you can see this, how much detail is in some of these. Some of them are a little smudgier, but it's quite a bit of detail, and that's really fun. So I'm going to call this dry enough. Put a little of my contrasting pink onto the plate gently. Layer it out. Once again, I don't want too much, and I hope I didn't just take too much off. We shall see. Then I lay the paper on, and I put my hand on it just for a second so that it can adhere. If I start rubbing the back too soon, the paper moves, and then I just get a smudged print. But once it starts to adhere, I can put quite a bit of pressure. And I want to make sure I'm picking up every bit of paint that I can off the plate so that I get the detail. And then pull it up. And there it is. It is not a perfect impression, which is what I love. I love the detail and the junk around. Sometimes there's type, and because the type is high contrast, you can often pick that up. So those smudges, which are some of the indentations in the plate, don't come out really clear. But that's how I do it. I will do another one just to re-demonstrate. Once again, Payne's Gray. I'm doing this whole series with the same colors because I'm thinking I might put them into the same journal or collage. I do a lot of collage work with my prints and my transfers. So there we are. This is the paper I'm going to use for pull up. There we go. Got it again. Once again, that one little extra wet spot there. Let's see if I can pick it up a little. It's good. Look at it to see how shiny it is. As it flattens out, there's not as much shine. I know it's dried enough. Up there it's still a little wet, but I'll be careful with that. So I'm going to put the contrasting color. Make sure you've got a good contrasting color. If it's not contrasted enough, what happens is the image becomes very indistinct. Fades together too much. Piece of paper. This is really nice quality copy machine paper. And put it down once again, hold it in place to anchor it, and then start rubbing. This is a Baron. It's made for printmakers to get a good solid contact. All right, let's see what we have. This is the magic. And there we go. It's a little bit indistinct. Looks like it has a cloud in it, but you need to try it and experiment with the different age books, vintage books. I've had really good luck with some of these old reading books. Those illustrations, even though they're not high contrast, will probably make a good clear print. And what would the date be in this? Are they going to even tell us? 1924. So before 1950 seems to be where I've had the best luck. And going back into the 1800s if the paper is coated. But the older it gets, the more you're going to find papers that are not coated, and then the image is much more embedded in the paper, and you're not going to get a good print off of it. So good luck.